Hey guys, welcome to Heart Academy 5. So today on Heart Academy 5, we're going to review the lesson we did on multiplying fractions. So I'm going to be doing 6, 7, 8, and 9 of tonight's homework on the multiplying fractions side, which is the easier side. Okay? So if you do these with me, you'll have less homework to do tonight. So here we go. I first like to use the diagonal reducing method. And what that means is I'm going to look diagonally at the numbers to see if I can reduce them. So if I'm looking at 1 and 6, so I'm basically looking at 1 over 6. Can I reduce 1 over 6 any smaller than it is? I cannot. So those I'm going to leave alone. And then I will look the other way diagonally at 5 over 8. So I'm looking at 5 over 8. Can I reduce 5 over 8 to a smaller fraction? Basically, will 5 go into 8, or will 8 go into 5, or is there a number that will go into 5 and 8 evenly? That would be a smaller number, and the answer is no to that one. So I'm going to leave that one alone too. So because I can't reduce diagonally on these, all I have to do now is multiply straight across. 1 times 5, and then you're going to multiply the two denominators as well, which is 8 times 6. Your 8 times 6 is 48, okay? And the last step is just be sure to take a look at your fraction to see if you can reduce any further. What I like to do is take a look at the last digit of each number. I have a 5 and an 8. That's an odd number and an even number. That's a pretty good indicator that my fraction will not reduce to anything any smaller than that. So I'm going to leave my answer as 5 over 8. I'm going to clear out and go over to the next one. The next one that I have, 5 over 10 and 2 over 4. I'm going to, remember, do my reducing diagonally. Okay? First, take a look at your 5 over 4. So basically, you're looking at 5 over 4 and seeing if anything can be reduced there. Nothing can be reduced at that point because I don't have a number that goes in a 5 and a 4 evenly. So I'm going to leave that one alone. But then we can look this way diagonally. I have 2 over 10. Now this one can reduce. 2 over 10. What number will go in a 2 and a 10 evenly? 2 is what you can use. 2 will go in itself 1 time. 2 will go into 5 or 10 5 times. So I'm going to change this number to a 1. Change this number into a 5, okay? And then all you have to do now is multiply across. I'm going to get this out of the way. Multiplying straight across. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20, okay? So now what you have is 5 over 20. However, we can reduce that one even further, okay? So if I have 5 over 20, take a look again to see what you can reduce. Taking a look at the end numbers. 5 and a 0. 5 and 0 are multiples of each other. 5 will go into 5. Basically, I'm doing this 1 time. 5 will go into 20 4 times. So my final answer then becomes 1/4. All right, take a look at the next one. And remember, if I'm going too fast, please pause it, rewind it, do what you need to do in order to understand, okay? So here we go with the next one. Again, my step 1 is to highlight diagonally, okay? Then I'm going to take a look diagonally to see what can be reduced. 5 and 15, or excuse me, 4 and 15. So basically I'm looking at this. Can these two numbers reduce into each other, or is there a number, least common denominator for this one? My answer is no. How do I know? Because I'm looking at an even number and an odd number, and usually those are not going to be able to reduce, not with these worksheets anyway, okay? Unless they're multiples of 3 or 5. So now I'm going to look the other way, a 12 and a 6. So I basically have this. You can tell easier that these are multiples of each other. In fact, you can use 6. 6 will go into 6 1 time. 6 will go into 12 2 times. So I reduced that to 1/2. So I'm going to change these numbers, 1 and a 2. Now I'm going to multiply straight across as soon as I get these out of the way. Okay? So if I multiply straight across, I have 2 times 4, which is 8. And then 15 times 1, which is 15. I'm going to take a look at my final answer one more time. Highlight the bottom numbers. I have an 8 and a 5, an even and an odd. And I know that these are not multiples of each other, so I am finished with 8/15 as that final answer. Okay? Pause, do what you need to do, rewind. I am now going to go and do number 9. Okay? Remember, step 1, highlight diagonally so you can reduce. And then check out to see if you can reduce. I have 11/20. Now, I know I'm looking at 11/20. That is not going to reduce because I have an even number, odd number, pretty good sign. It's not going to reduce. But I have a 14 and a 14. This one can reduce because 14 will go into 14. Basically, I'm asking this one time. Same thing with here. 14 will go into 14 one time. This makes it a whole lot easier now to multiply straight across, doesn't it? Because you have 11 times 1, which is 11, and then 11 times the 20, or excuse me, the 1 times the 20, which is 20. 1 times the 20 is 20. And then I'm going to look one more time for reducing, have an even and an odd. I am done. So my final answer for this one will be 11/20. Okay, one more left. Okay, so for this example, and the rest of the page will be homework. We already did 1 through 5 in class, and I'm doing now 6 through 10, so you don't have a whole lot left over after I do this last one with you. Remember, step 1, highlight diagonally, and then look to see if you can reduce. I have a 7 and a 16. These two are not multiples of each other, okay? I have 11 and a 12. Those are not multiples of each other. Whoops. So then I'm just going to go ahead and multiply straight across. 7 times 11, which is 77. 12 times 16, I'll go ahead and tell you, is 192. Okay? One final look to see if I have multiples of each other, and I do not. So my final answer, 77/192. Please rewind, go back, look at the steps to see if you understand the process of reducing. When you are able to reduce well, multiplying and dividing fractions become a lot easier. So we're only working with multiplying today, so do your best. If you can't get them all, then you can't get them all. You know I won't be mad. All I'm asking is that you try your best. Our next part of this episode will be the back of your worksheet, which is going to be multiplying mixed numbers. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. We're going to call this episode number 5, I believe, and we're going to now multiply the mixed numbers that's on the back of your worksheet for homework tonight. Okay, so there's only one additional step with this. This one additional step is changing this mixed number into an improper fraction. Also this one, changing the mixed number into an improper fraction. How do we do that? Here we go. I'm starting with number 6. I will probably go through number 10, and that way you have less homework to do because these are the exact problems from your homework. So again, changing mixed numbers into improper and then following the steps of multiplying fractions. There we go. So I take my whole number, multiply it with the denominator. Okay, 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, and then you add what's on top. So 6 plus 2, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. Keep the same bottom number over 3. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to the next mixed number that we have. We're going to multiply the numerator and, multiply the whole number in the denominator. So I have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 is 5. keep that same bottom number. So this is where we are now, okay? Now I can go back and follow the same rules of multiplying fractions that we learned in the last part. I am going to first highlight diagonally and see if I can reduce these. 3 into 5, not multiples, so I'm not going to reduce those into smaller numbers. However, I have an 8 and a 2. This will work because 2 will go into 2 one time. 2 will go into 8 4 times. And you can use a multiplication chart to help figure out what numbers will go into what, okay? I also know 2 because they're both even numbers. A 2 and an 8 are even. So I know I can reduce these numbers down. Once you reduce, just multiply straight across. 4 times 5, which is 20. And then 3 times 1, which is 3. And as you know, it's top heavy, which means it's improper, and we can't leave it that way. So we must divide. 3 will go into 20. How many times? 3 will go into 20 6 times. What's left over would be 2, keeping the same bottom number. Not sure how I just did that. I'm going to redo that part down here. 3 goes into 20. I'm basically asking you to do this. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 3 times 8, or 3 times 6, is 18. What's left over? 2. So this becomes your whole number. This stays your bottom number. What's left over is your numerator. So my final answer is 6 2/3. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Again, change it into an improper. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So I have 13 over 3 for this one. And then 4 times 10 is 40, plus 9 is 49. Again, keeping the same bottom number. I'm going to look to see if I can reduce. Will 3 go into 49, or 13 and 10s? Are there any multiples of these two numbers for me to use? I don't think so. So I'm not going to, remember, basically what I'm doing is highlighting to see if I can reduce. Again, 13 and a 10, that's not going to reduce. 3 and a 49, that's not going to reduce either. So I'm just going to have to multiply that bad boy straight across. And I will tell you, if you do the multiplication, 13 times 49, you're going to get 637. And then 3 times 10, that's 30. It's top heavy. You cannot leave it as an improper. So how many times will 30 go into 637? I will tell you, it will go 21 times with 7 left over. Again, if you don't understand what I just did right there, I'm going to redo it down here at the bottom so you understand exactly what I did. All I did was, how many times was 30 going to go into 637? How many times will 30 go into 637? Okay, so you can use your multiplication chart. You can break down the division to make it easier for you. Whatever it is that you need to do in order to get this answer, try not to use a calculator though. And then when you do the division, okay, you will get 21. 30 will go into 60. I'll do it this way. 30 goes into 60 2 times. 3 times 2, or 30 times 2 is 60, with 37 left over. And then, we'll bring that up for you a little bit. Here we go. And then 30 will go into 37 one time. 30. 7 left over. Not the best handwriting, but that's how I got my 21, my 30, and my 7. So your final answer for that. I actually think that these are Not too bad, as long as you remember what we're doing is change them into improper first. Let me go ahead and do number 8, okay? I have 3 times 4, 3 times 4 plus 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So I have my 13 over 4. And then 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2, that's going to be my 8, times my 8 over 3. Okay? So now I'm going to highlight, just like I did on the easy side. Okay? And then see if anything will reduce. 13 and a 3, not going to reduce. 4 and an 8 will reduce. 4 actually will go in 8. 4 will go into itself 1 time. 4 goes into 8 2 times. Now I can multiply straight across. My 13 times the 2 is 26. And 1 times 3 is 3. I convert it to a mixed number. 3 will go into 26. 3 goes into 26 8 times. What's left over will be 2. Keep that same bottom number. So 8 and 2/3 for number 8. Now moving on to number 9. Let's multiply. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Keep the same bottom number. Multiply. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Keep the same bottom number. We're going to highlight to see if we have anything that can reduce. Okay. 7 and 2, that's not going to reduce, but 9 and 3 will, because 3 will go into itself 1 time. 3 will go into 9 3 times. Now I multiply straight across. 3 times 7, 21. 2 times 3, 2. You know you can't leave it top heavy, can't leave it as improper. So I will divide. 2 will go into 21 10 times, because 2 times 10 is 20, which will leave you 1 left over to get your 21, and keep your same denominator. So 10 and 1/2 is our final answer for that one. And I will do one more sample problem, number 10. Here we go. 7 times the 4, remember, 7 times 4, 28. Whoops. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 6, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Plus the 6 will give me 34 over 7. Sorry about the bad handwriting. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25 over 6. These two are even numbers. I can see it already. So remember, highlight diagonally. These are not going to reduce. These will reduce. Okay? And when I reduce that, we can go with let's see, so I have my 34. Okay. See, we can start with 2. I'm looking at a multiplication chart, sorry. 2 will go into 6 3 times. That's a 3. Let's go ahead and reset and make that a 3. There we go. 2 will go into 6 3 times. 2 will go into 34 17 times. Okay, well that's much easier. So now when I multiply, I will have 4, and I'm going to put it up here. 17 times 25 is 425 over 21. So this is where we are now. 425 over 21, and all I have to do is change this into a mixed number. 21 will go into 425. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that 20 times. And then there would be about 5 left over, keeping the same bottom number. So this is your answer for number 10. All right, the rest is on your own, guys. Good luck. If you can't finish it all, I understand, but I do expect you to try your best. No calculator, use multiplication chart, and please, please, please make sure you show that work. I will see you tomorrow. Love you and miss you all.